Everywhere you turn, there are rules, orders, and laws that must be obeyed. In your home, there are rules that tell you about bedtime, who's responsible for which chores, how you're supposed to treat the other members of your family. The rules exist to bring order to the family and to let you know what the family needs from you. The same is true at school. Sit in your seat, listen to the teacher, show respect. Following these rules keeps order and allows teachers to teach and students to learn. It's also important to notice what the rules don't do. They don't make you a member of your family, and they cannot make you a perfect student. To say it another way, the law cannot make you better. It can only show you where you're going wrong. So after bringing His chosen people out of slavery in Egypt, God gave the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai. These are like the house rules, the law to give order to the people. The 10 Commandments didn't make them God's people. God had already chosen them. Now God was giving them the law so that it will go well with you and for your children after you. However, the law did not make everything go well. We don't even have to look at all 10 commandments, just big number 1. I am the Lord your God. You shall have no other gods. Yet as soon as the law was given to them, written down on a tablet of stone by the finger of God, it immediately exposed the deep desire for a different God. They fashioned a golden calf god for themselves, a god of their own creation who could not say or do anything for them, but was a god completely under their control. That's idolatry. It's no coincidence that as soon as the first commandment was given, they saw their idolatry clearly. Like a magnifying glass, the law made their sin visible, right before their eyes. This is also what happens in your home, at school, and in your community. As soon as a new rule or law is given, everyone's on the lookout for the rule breakers. What was supposed to give order and tell us how to make things go well suddenly makes us see the problem everywhere. As St. Paul wrote in the book of Romans, the law exposes and magnifies sin. What can be done? Watch what happens in Exodus 32. When God saw that His people had created the golden calf god, He told Moses, "In my wrath, I will consume them." Interestingly, Moses didn't beg God for leniency or a second chance, the way we normally do when we're caught breaking the law. Moses didn't promise they wouldn't do it again. Instead, Moses repeated back to God the promise God made to Abraham. God, you swore a promise to Abraham that you would give his family land and blessing forever. And God's wrath vanished. Trusting God's promise ends God's anger. Trusting the promise is relying on God's mercy and forgiveness, not on our ability to do the law perfectly. With the 10 Commandments, God exposed 2 things. 1, the sin of His people, and 2, His faithfulness to His promise. God made sure that His people knew that God keeps His promise before leading them through 40 years in the wilderness. And that promise sustained the Israelites, not just for that next 40 years, but it continues to sustain all of God's people, those who have received His promise of forgiveness, to this day.